everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. Oh, we have some echo going on. I hope that you guys are all doing well and staying warm. First of all, sorry about my voice today. I'm getting over a cold. It's kind of hard to deal with this negative 20-degree weather out here in the Midwest. I hope that wherever you are, you're warmer or have like 5 blankets on. Anyway, I have an awesome guest today, Steve Starobinsky. Next week, I have Nicholas Vivakis coming on. He is part of the AND Sales team, and he works with all of our brands. So we're going to have a great conversation with him. Join us next week. This week, again, we have Steve Starobinsky. I'm super excited for this conversation. He is the founder of KidHeart, and he also works with one of our brands, SolidRoots. And he was recently recognized in the Mojo Nation Top 100 Most Influential People in Toy and Game Design. So this is obviously going to be a great conversation about a category that everyone should be paying attention to. So let's dive on in. Hey there, Steve.
Hey, what's up?
How are you?
I'm doing really good. I am significantly warmer than you are. It's like a nice 60 degrees here in Austin.
Oh, thank you for rubbing that in.
Problem.
Yeah, it's absolutely, utterly freezing here, and we keep on joking that I don't even want to look outside because we just keep getting more snow. We've gotten more snow this year. My mailbox, I can almost not see my mailbox. So, anyway, that's okay. We're going to pretend. I'm just going to pretend that I'm somewhere really warm. That's where I've gotten to. All right, so first, let's start off by you telling us about your history, your background, how you got to where you are now.
I won't bore you, but I do need to give some props. My big brother, so I'm a little brother in the Big Brother, Big Sister program.
Okay.
And my big brother, Ryan Logan, we got together when I was 11. And when I was 16, he got me a job at this toy company that he was working at called Funrise in California. And I started there as, just a intern, a receptionist, a warehouse worker. And we were on this track system because our school was so overpopulated. So everybody went to school year round. You would go to school for 2 months and then have a month off year round.
Wow.
And that worked in my advantage because I got to almost kind of like do rounds. Every 3 months, I went to a different department. So I did accounting, I did customer service, I did sales, I did trade show help. I spent a lot of time in the warehouse, really physically understanding what a salesman's promise is, like loading containers in 120-degree weather in Woodland Hills, California. Like it was an incredible experience. But I did that from 16 to like 23. I didn't go to college. I figured the toy industry was exactly where I belong. And then I went to Dallas and joined a marketing firm and became CMO there, where my job was to find new products for the company to sell to different kinds of retailers. I got to travel a lot. I have over 1 million miles to my record on American Airlines. I became kind of the trade show guy. Mm-hmm. And in an effort to kind of organize my thoughts, I started writing this blog. It was called Diverse Insights, and it's now called the KidHeart newsletter. But it basically was just an organization of things that I felt like connected and were toyetic. And buyers started reading it, and vendors started reading it, and licensors, and I kind of became this guy who finds trends and finds new stuff. And it let me kind of build out this idea of KidHeart. Like, it's something that I don't have to spend any time explaining. Like, everybody knows the feeling. And I think I have an eye for finding products that reawaken that within everyone. I fundamentally believe that play is good. And certain companies, I believe, make products that can, just make positivity occur. And SolidRoots was kind of that one.
Yeah, and you're right. It is something everybody understands, and knows that feeling. Last night, actually, I was tucking my 4-year-old into bed, and we were talking about, what tomorrow is going to be. And I was telling him how I have to work, and I'm going to interview, this guy. And of course, he's like, well, what's he do? What are you going to talk about? And I said, well, he knows a lot about games. And I paused and I was like, he likes to play. I'm talking to a 4-year-old, and because right away he was like, games? And I was like, yeah, he likes to play. His kid at heart. Play is, in your heart. And I love that you kept that, going and have developed a career out of that. I was really staying true to yourself and your heart by following that. That's really cool.
Thank you for saying that, and thank you to your 4-year-old. I think about things like generationally. Like I know that a lot of the changes that we make today really won't affect us. Like we are making certain changes in retail and in product development and in marketing that aren't for us. It's for the people that will follow us. Yep. And it's a responsibility and an opportunity, Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for saying that.
Yeah, no, it was cool. He's all about it. So then it opened a whole discussion. I was like, I'll get back to you after my interview. So hold on.
Has he seen the movie Big?
He has not yet. I don't know if he'll be there
when
yet.
He does. I like to bring up that movie a lot because I don't think it's a piece of fiction. The movie Big is literally what toy executives do in rooms. Yes, there are KPIs associated with it and P&Ls and retail strategies and a lot of Excel spreadsheets. But at the end of the day, there is a career in play. And it's the same thing. You ask, why would a kid want to play with a building? It's the same exact questions.
What a great movie, too.
Yeah.
That is a good point. That's one that we should introduce him to in the near future. So let's get into gaming. There has definitely been a rise in gaming over this last year, which we'll get back to in just a minute. But first, I thought it was important to kind of touch on what has been the trend, what's been trending, or how has gaming been growing pre-pandemic? Because it was on the rise pre-pandemic, right?
Yeah. I think about the increase, we have to understand the low point. And the low point of games was when the word bored was spelled B-O-R-E-D. And that wasn't long ago. It was about 2011, 2012, maybe even as late as 14, where games were just out of fashion. Like people were into electronic toys, people were into apps, Angry Birds was hot, it just wasn't exciting to sit down and play a board game. And then a few things started to happen. So the first thing was Cards Against Humanity. Yeah. Cards Against Humanity, a very lewd, amazingly hilarious game that allowed people who weren't that brash to read a card that was so hilarious, that was such an icebreaker that it would, fuel these college parties. The marketing was so brilliant that it quickly expanded, and as most industries do, derivatives began to kind of spring up. One derivative that wasn't a derivative at all was called What Do You Mean, which a company called F. Jerry, who owns all of the rights to the memes that are super popular on the internet, went and made a game that made you caption these memes. They replicated an internet play pattern into a physical game, and it blew up. So between those two games, you all of a sudden had this humongous refocus on the gaming space, and more party games, more and more like retro 90s nostalgia wove itself in, more companies that took risks in package design and created this adult party category. So trending. The second thing that is trending in this space is the strategy category. Now, the strategy category never really hit a low point. It was always there. It was always consistent. But a couple of games really took it to a much more general consumer. So the first one was Settlers of Catan. Settlers of Catan, a $60 multi-expansion pack universe kind of brand, really begun the process But the one that brought me into the category is a game called Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride is another, again, $60. This strategy category very easily heightens the price point. But those two games really cemented the game, or those two trends cemented the game business. And then what I'm seeing as the emerging trend is the white space that those two things kind of did, which is now this wholesome gaming. Because as party games got reinvented into kind of filthy adult games, and then strategy games kind of got rethought and into these like hardcore, like maybe even a little bit intimidating strategy games, this white space opened up, especially for like the grandma consumer, the mom consumer, a kid consumer that is looking for offline board games or physical media, and at the same time it's not too NC-17, and it's not so difficult that it's intimidating. And I think that's the space that SolidRoots occupies. This like wholesome gaming is what we can own. We think we speak directly to that grandma consumer who, by the way, as of 2018, and I don't have the updated numbers, but as of 2018, 50% of all toys in the U.S. were bought by grandmothers. Wow. Like, it's a huge sector. And if you think about toy marketing, we market only to the child. Like, we want the child to tell the parent to buy it at the store, right? And then when it comes to toys, and then you can sometimes tie it into like gifting to put toys in gifting, which it's a unique perspective. But even with that, grandma, nobody's saying like, hey, grandma, this is the perfect catalyst for memory creation, right? Grandma is yearning for that one activity that can connect her with her grandkid. And board games, she thinks that they don't want to do. Like, that's the counterintuitive insight that I hope some of your listeners pick up on. The kids want to play offline. They want to do it. They just don't want to, like, when you tell them that games or devices or technology is bad without giving them a option, they rebel against that notion and they defend it. So over time, you think that's all they want. But in reality, it's, they defend it until you give them something that's, just as interesting, device independent.
Yeah. And so the gaming category was trending upward over the last, chunk of years pre-pandemic. And then the pandemic hit and it pretty much exploded.
Yeah, twofold, because in the toy business, the games and puzzles are grouped together as a super category. So first, the puzzle subcategory of the game and puzzle super category exploded. I mean, for obvious reasons. We were all home. We were all looking for something to do. It just captured the wholesomeness of family time very well. And then, puzzles were kind of the hero, and puzzles plateaued, but still significantly higher than they were pre-pandemic. And games just continue to rise. Games continue to be a pivotal piece of the play puzzle in most families, and now adults and millennials. Like the generation that grew up on video games isn't addicted to technology; they're addicted to play. So that the offline fun is just as stimulating.
Yeah, so do you predict that in this, I call it our post-pandemic recovery phase in the next, couple years here? And really, you make a good point. Beyond that, as millennials are, getting older and having families and all that, do you predict that this category is just going to continue to tick upward?
Yeah, I mean, yes is the short answer. I mean, over time, everything kind of plateaus, but this is not a fad. This is ingrained into the fabric of our society. Like, we have created habits over the pandemic. It says it's said that it takes 8 weeks to form a habit. Like, we've been in quarantine for a year, 52 of them. So, like, it would make a lot of sense that the velocity and the I guess appetite for new games remains. Will people have as much expendable income and other things, over time? Yeah, maybe not, but I think the game and puzzle category have a nice run ahead of them over the next 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah. So you mentioned some different sectors of gaming, the board games, puzzles, grandma gaming. This is, a category that I had never heard of before, more recently with SolidRoots. And it feels to me like it's just genius. And so you guys are taking that and kind of running with it, and building upon that. Can you kind of tell us more about that? I mean, you primarily kind of are focusing in card games, in that category.
Yeah. Look, we made up the term, so thank you. With that said, we are the word of the year for 2021 is authenticity. And the matriarch of play for SolidRoots, the family game company, was Jen's grandmother. It was her that instilled all the importance of it, the opportunity that it gives to people to learn about each other. And as an homage to her, we created Ma's Shanghai, or Ma's Deep Shinola, and Momo's Shanghai Rummy. So Momo is the matriarch, and Momo was never seen without her vintage cigarette purse. You can picture it if you close your eyes, the one little snap on it on top with the soft leather. We packaged our card game into that to appeal to Don Draper said, nostalgia has the twinge in your heart. You feel it when a product has nostalgia. And I think you feel it. It reminds you of your grandmother because it's such a, it was such an iconic piece of fashion. It's pretty funny that we're tying in fashion into our package design when we're talking about grandma gaming. But that's how we're approaching this consumer. We're not thinking she's like, she's not, we think she's cool. We think she's interesting. We think she has a ton to teach and a ton to learn. Like it is with that approach that we think that we can become the leader in grandma gaming, and we have now expanded. So I mentioned Ma. So Ma is Jen's mom. So she'll be the second grandmother in our series. And then we are going to be doing a really exciting campaign for Grandparents' Day this summer, where consumers get to enter their grandmother to be made into their very own version of our card games with in the Grandma Gaming series.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's just can you imagine like the user-generated content of people submitting pictures of their grandmother and their stories of play? We think it'll really connect with the heart of SolidRoots, and I'm really proud of what the team has accomplished so far in the trajectory that we're on. Our specialty retailers are on their third, fourth, fifth reorders of Mind the Gap. If anybody hasn't seen it, this right here, this minimalist package trivia game for the generations is the jam. This right here allows you to, instead of fighting amongst the generations as we've been doing for whatever tiring amount of time that's been happening, it's so let's get over it. In Mind the Gap, you collaborate. You have to work with a boomer, a Gen X, or a millennial, a Gen Zer to get around the board and learn about different trivia from history to music to slang. Slang, what a cool category that is so representative of the changes between generations, but so cool to learn about, like the history of why a word is said a specific way.
And it's not your typical trivia game, because I noticed that there's trivia people and there are not trivia people. And, we've definitely played this game with some family members that are like, I don't do trivia. I don't like trivia, all those things. We're like, that's all right. We're going to play it anyway. You can join in or not. Every single one of those people, because I will admit, I'm not a huge trivia person just because I'm not good at that category. But you naturally jump in because it's things that you just know. You don't have to be some trivia guru. These are things that you just grew up with in your generation. And so we had people that were not trivia people that were in the boomer, category, and people that were not trivia people in the Gen Z category. And both of which just naturally jumped in and actually started answering more questions than any of the trivia people. So, it was really funny and fun to watch. So don't think of it like it's a regular trivia game. I mean, it's really a game that is for everyone.
I like that observation a lot. It's hard. The concept of accessibility is hard to kind of sell, on a package, because in some ways it means mass market, right? But this doesn't look mass market. This is a beautiful boutique minimalist package. But that's why we got to shout it from the mountaintops. This is exactly that. It's a game that has, you will not feel intimidated by this trivia, but you will also feel challenged. You will feel, it's just the right mix. And then it has this one other element, the challenge cards, which make you dance out or act out. Like a friend of mine, we were playing, and he pulled the challenge card, and it was risky business. And you have to act it out. And he leaves kind of the kitchen. By the way, the kitchen countertop is the millennial game table.
Okay.
That bar that's in every single new apartment that is built these days, that countertop is the millennial game table. So my friend leaves, goes into my hallway, and I see him doing something, fumbling around, and then just hits the perfect slide. He took off his shoes and slid right into the room, and we're just like, risky business!
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a blast. So you brought up a good point, though, about the fact that, the packaging, I have it here too, is minimalist and is great, for really a boutique or anything. I mean, what type of stores should this be in? I mean, of course, gaming is a category we all know and expect it in, every larger store across the country. I mean, it's expected to be there. But what other stores should have these games?
Yeah, the packaging, as a toy guy, I had to kind of retrain my eye, because this packaging, when put in a toy store, it is like the anti-highlighter effect. You literally, everything else is a highlighter. Your eye goes directly to Mind the Gap anywhere on the planet Earth. So sure, toy stores should carry this. I think anywhere where a predominantly a consumer of 35 to 55-year-old female shops, whether it's a home decor store, whether it's a bookstore, whether it's a Main Street USA kind of gift shop, any kind of retro or nostalgic vibe that you might find that has this fits into. A new channel that is popping up is bars and restaurants. So a lot, and I live in Austin where it's a little bit more progressive, so I try to check, my opinion. But I feel like every bar I go to has a little game section. Yeah. And, it doesn't matter if they're selling it or not. Maybe your stores can partner with the bar next to them and sell them a sample, and have that part be the partner in your neighborhood could be the experiential version of this product that, you need to sell a ton of them.
Right.
Instead of demoing it one at a time, let people drink and play games. That's what they want to do anyway. And I think there's a lot of great establishments that are popping up that have play in mind and board games and trivia and, host a Mind the Gap in your town. Mind the Gap is such a good name, too. Mind the Gap is double entendre. Of course, the generational gap. And if you haven't been to London, you will hear it, you know, anywhere you travel to. But it's sticky. And because we're going to be doing so much social media marketing with a ton of influencers, in 2020, for example, we had 231 influencers that posted about Mind the Gap. We had over 3.6 million impressions. We garnered over 60,000 unique comments. Like, it's a product that, because it just involves so many people, and so many people get to feel like they're a winner and that they contributed, they want to brag about it. They want to play it more. They want to win, right? And partnering with a bar or another kind of business that would, you know, maybe a coffee shop could do a trivia night, right? Like, that'd be super fun.
Anyway. I was just going to say, yeah, all of our favorite coffee shops have board games in them. So, you know, board games are a great thing for coffee shop, and not just Mind the Gap, mind you. I mean, this is something that, this is a category in general that basically what we're saying is that gaming is a category in general that pretty much every store should have some size of, you know, section of gaming in it. And you guys, you know, have these awesome tracked games, which are a phenomenal price point.
I agree. This is a huge trend in that escape rooms have been around for about 4 or 5 years, but they're a little intimidating. It's difficult for a casual gamer to be kind of brought into that world. And then so the toy industry saw that and created games, and most of them were slightly over-engineered and a little bit intimidating and a little expensive, and again kind of lost the casual gamer. Right. So with Trapped, it's like $14.99 retail. There's 3 themes: art heist, the bank job, and then the carnival. It's about. I mean, I did it at a dinner party a week and a half ago. It was an hour and 15 minutes, and we really use the clues. Like, if you really kind of actually try to do it on your own, it's a solid 2 hours of play for $15 for an entire dinner party of people. And then it's, yes, you know the solution, but you can gift the game to another person, to your neighbor, and let them play it. It's not obsolete. It's not like you scratch off anything. But, like, a bunch of things come in this box, and you decorate your whole living room. There's, like, 15 different things you put up. So it just feels immersive, and it feels big and valuable for $15. And it's in stock. Like, there's not a ton of newness. Like, Corona really hurt the Q1 and Q2 product life cycle. So, like, SolidRoots, we are at an advantage because we have so many new items coming out for Q1 and Q2.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost a product that I feel like could be considered an impulse buy. You know, I mean, it's such a great price point, and people are constantly looking for things to do at home, whether it be with your family or as we do start to expand out and do, you know, small dinner parties and things like that. You know, again, thinking of product placement in various types of stores. If you don't have any gaming section of your store, but you want to test out this category, I mean, like I said, this is something you could almost consider as, you know, an impulse buy too, and you know, bring in some options. You guys are coming out with more. I know when we talked a little bit earlier, you guys are coming out with Manic Minutes. So much fun.
That game right there will not leave the millennial game table, that countertop. It's a game that's so easy to play. You draw a card and you are tasked with talking about a particular subject for 60 seconds. That's it. However, your competition has this very satisfying bell to ding anytime you say or repeat yourself, and they get to take over the scoreboard and talk about that subject to see if they can complete it for 60 seconds. Did I do it? Is that 60? Close.
Yeah, it's an awesome game, and so much fun. I agree. This is good. This is going to be a huge hit, especially with the millennials. So you did already, you know, one of the things I wanted to touch on, which you already did, was talking about board games versus video games and iPads and all this technology. I think you make a great point that we tend to think that, you know, everyone and the kids and whatnot and teenagers are just obsessed with video games and everything. But I think that if we continue to throw in the physical media, they will enjoy that as well. And, you know, embrace the board games and putting away the video games a little bit. Spending time with people and family is really important.
The sentence has to evolve from, hey, put your phone down, to, hey, put your phone down and let's play Mind the Gap.
Yeah.
Or let's play Trapped. Or let's play, you know, a different board game. Or let's go outside and play with gel blasters. Or whatever it happens to be. Like, you have to give them the activity. You can't just, you know, decline what they think is cool. And it is cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it is cool. Awesome. Well, I'm looking at my notes here really quick. Oh, I needed to mention, SolidRoots is also recognized in Mojo Nation's Top 100 for influential people in gaming. So congrats to both of you, Steve, you and SolidRoots. I mean, that's pretty big and awesome. It came out relatively recently.
Yeah, we both didn't know we were, you know, up for this, so it was an amazing honor. The team at Mojo, they're actually in the UK, so this is a global list, which is, you know, it makes you feel small and it gives you purpose simultaneously. Because, like, play it's global, it's universal. I bet aliens play, you know? So, for sure, right? Undoubtedly. So at least I'm believing that, and it's a mindset. It's a manifestation of success. It is, you know, it is understanding that you as a being emit an energy, and you can choose for that energy to be positive.
Yeah.
And Jen and Chris are some of the kindest, smartest, hardworking people that I've met in the industry. You know, I met them randomly at a trade show. Not randomly, I was on a product hunt, right? And I knew there was something different about them from the moment I met. And as we began working closer and closer, that was reconfirmed. And you know, we just want to be successful. We want to do it the right way. We want to work with the people that share our values, and you know, enjoy life, because we get to do something that we love, you know, for work.
Absolutely. So you mentioned social media before. You guys are awesome at marketing, and you know, using social media and doing all these videos. How important do you think that is anymore?
Somewhere between a necessity and vital for like a heartbeat. Like at SolidRoots, we have a commitment to content that is daily. We publish an original piece of content every single day. I, as KidHeart, try to publish original content every other day, every 3 days. But there is no time that goes by where I'm not constantly thinking about how to craft the message that I can share with my community. We have an in-house photographer. Chris, one of the founders, is a designer by trade. Trinity, who's Chris and Jen's daughter, is 15 and is learning how to do photography and editing in Lightroom. Jack, their 11-year-old son, is studying animation and graphic design. It is so vital, and the elephant in the room is that some people shouldn't be doing it. Like, if you are not able to be your authentic self, and you don't understand the importance of it looking a specific way or tone or the subtlety of marketing, then get some help. Share our content. You do not have to reinvent the wheel all the time. However, if you think for a second that you can't do it because you haven't tried, I cannot stress this enough. Social media is the easiest it's ever been.
Yeah.
The consumer wants to know the real you. They don't care about the marketing you. They don't care about the fancy words you. They don't even care about the fancy lens you. Like, they just want to know why you're doing this. Like, what drives you? Why, what challenges are you having? They want to see that you're vulnerable. They want to see, that although they don't have a right to this, but they want to know what you're doing with your profits.
Yeah.
Like they want to know that they're buying from a person that, isn't, killing animals in the safari with his millions, right? Like, it just becomes easier and easier. Just don't be intimidated. But then if you're not good, that's okay too. Like, don't think that just because one strategy didn't work that the entire movement is not for you.
Right.
You can empower people that it's like getting a new director for a movie. That's all it is. And your story can still be told. It's just that you might need a little bit of help.
Yeah.
But at the very least, know that SolidRoots will be creating content with all of our retailers in mind every single day. And we'd love for you to engage with our accounts on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, and we'd love to promote yours. Like, we will promote and share almost anything that you tag us in, and tell the world how great of a partner you are for supporting us. We want to talk to you. We want to like your customers liking our pictures. We want to make people feel important. And this platform, it's easy now. You can do it.
Yeah, it's true. It has become a lot easier as people they're craving the authenticity, which I love. So one thing I want to mention, which I think is awesome and we're all super excited about, is about Mind the Gap and what is coming in the future for Mind the Gap, specifically with Chip and Joanna Games.
Yeah, huge deal. So third-party validation is phenomenal. It's especially phenomenal when it comes from two super famous, super wholesome people in Chip and Joanna Games. So if somebody hasn't watched it, they have a show called Fixer Upper, Waco, Texas. They buy a house, they flip it, everything's wonderful. But they've become kind of like home decor icons. Look, you guys know all this. Anyway, they're getting their own 24-hour network. And they, as a development, knew that they wanted to do a game show on their network, like their flagship game show. They got a hold of us because during the quarantine we did 25 episodes, like rogue Zoom recordings, but we did it, and we saw genuine fun being created. We saw intergenerational connection. We saw all the things that we saw, at home while we were testing it in person. We got to see it all around the country, and they felt like this was the exact fit for their message and their tone for wholesome family time, and have greenlit us to film a pilot in 2021. The date's still a little, thank you. The date's still a little shaky. We'll keep everybody posted. We'll be filming the pilot in Tulsa, and then the set would be built out in Waco, Texas, as a part of the Magnolia experience. So as people come and visit the whole deal, they can actually come and be contestants on Mind the Gap. It's a part of the whole environment. Pretty cool.
It's awesome. It's awesome. We can't wait for the pandemic to lighten up a little bit so that you guys can move forward. I know it's been kind of, pushed off because of that, but it'll happen, and we're all super excited and cheering you on, and we can't wait to follow that. So, do you have any, you are yourself an entrepreneur. You have followed your heart, throughout your career, and you more recently developed your own KidHeart agency. Do you have any tips or words of advice for any entrepreneurs out there?
I like to repeat the things that people I've talked to have told me. Nancy's Weirs is a woman who served. She was a CMO at Spin Master. They're like $1 billion company. Mattel. She has a consulting agency now, but she told me to give away what you want more of. And I want more success in the toy business, so I give away the success that I've had so far. She also told me to break rules on purpose. You know, when you break rules thoughtlessly, like you're a jerk.
Yeah.
When you break them on purpose, you know, you can start a movement. And you know, I follow those things pretty specifically. I like to say it's easier to make something cool. It's easier to make something mass market cool than it is to make something cool mass market. So sometimes the greatest ideas are familiar.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you almost need to find familiarity in something new in order for it to be super successful. And then I sell the why. I don't sell the what. You know, I tell toy stories. You know, I am myself. You know, people like that and some don't, and you know, and that's okay too. But I do say I say no a lot, and I tell people like very specifically the reason why, like they need to know the no, and the people that overcome the no and then come back to me are the people that I think are ultra successful, and I tend to align with them because you know I know like it takes 10 no's to get one yes, right? Is that the old salesman kind of note? Like I'm expecting to get no's from all of my new ideas, but my expectations are always met. So I'm always thinking about how to overcome it before I even hear the no, because I already know it's coming.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. KidHeart, you know, post things you like. Like you can manifest things. It's the universe is nuts. Like you can make it happen. It's crazy if you just that's like the worst word. If you work super hard and you keep thinking about it and focusing on it and putting it out into the universe. That's what social media like does so well. Is it literally helps you manifest things. Like it's private and public. Like it's like a diary that the universe can read.
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
Crazy.
It's exactly that. It is crazy. All right. Well, thank you so much for all of your wealth of knowledge and experience in the gaming industry. I am now going to hit you with our final 3 questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So, first question. What's your favorite book, podcast, or blog?
I don't read much traditional books, and I don't listen to podcasts. I just don't know why. But Reddit.com is very much a very easy way to get all of the things that you're interested in, like given to you. And I find myself still being on the forefront of information by reading and fine-tuning my feed, you know, than reading traditional. I mean, I have way anyway. That's what I got for now. Reddit.com helps. Like, I don't want to come off as somebody who's like dumb and anti-reading. Like,
no.
I'm a bad. Like, it takes me forever. I'm like a squirrel. I get distracted. And
I get it. Everybody has different ways of taking in content. You know, but that does make me be like, so were you all over what happened a week ago?
I definitely was all over it, but not in the good way. Yeah. I've been following what's been happening. I think the decentralization of institutional things is like the biggest trend of 2021, right? Like it started with Netflix, disrupting streaming disrupting cable, but now it's like human beings disrupting governments. It's incredible.
It's crazy. Yeah. Okay. Number 2, what is the most important thing in your toolbox? This can be a physical item or just a mental, place of mindset or anything.
Cold call Fridays. Ooh. Cold call Fridays. So between 10 a.m. and like 1:15-ish, 2 o'clock-ish, buyers are in the best moods that there are all week. Like it's just, especially ones that work at, in a corporate setting where they have a Monday through Friday. But those Friday mornings are an incredible time to just catch people in an open-minded state.
Wow, that's an awesome item in your toolbox. Okay, and our last one. How do you think retail will continue to evolve through 2021? We've definitely seen, some crazy up and downs over this last year. And I think people are starting to feel a little bit sense of relief and calm coming over us throughout 21. But what do you think? What do you see happening with it?
A big thing happened during Corona. And I don't think it's what you think I'm going to say. The big thing that happened in 2020 was every single retailer got their website in order. Every single one, from the smallest to the biggest. That right there has leveled the playing field. And now all of a sudden, Amazon no longer has like a death grip on manufacturers, on industries, on innovation. Like there was some troubling, pathways that were being created, where brands would get crushed on Amazon and that's it. And no one could make any money. So now there are so many great e-tailers, and that trend will only continue as the more data each one of them collects, the better mailing list, the better the marketing. It just levels the playing field, and that's really exciting to me. I think brands that are starting direct to consumer, especially on Instagram, are finding that the next step is a collaboration with an established retailer. Like it's the next move. So, and the barrier to entry to start a new brand has dropped significantly with Shopify and things like Quad Pay coming out. Like anybody, you want to make a candle, you can have your own website, sell direct to consumer, which is great for retailers because then they don't have to take the risk on funding something that's unproven in the marketplace. And when that happens over, a trillion new items a year from every industry, we actually reduce waste. We as a company become sustainable. We no longer have the margin erosions of bad product taking up shelf space and forcing sales to happen. A direct-to-consumer pathway for brands is not like it's actually the best thing that can happen. It's them proving that the product actually makes sense, and then they can sell to retailers. They just have to know these entrepreneurs and price things correctly and grasp all of this information that wholesale, retail, distribution, licensing, international, like all of these things that need to be aware. If we could just give that to them, and then they can apply their brilliant young brains to them, the result becomes a brand that is exciting, is marketed right, is priced correctly, has wholesale and distributor margins in mind. It's better. It makes less trash.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Steve, for your time. And like I said, all of your knowledge and wisdom. This is a great category that we have been stressing that every retailer, big, small, regardless of what type of main retailer you are, you should really consider getting into a little bit of the game category. We really, really, truly believe that it will be to your benefit. And with that, thanks so much, Steve. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys. I'm KidHeart, Steve Starobinsky.
Oh, yes. I'm so sorry. I didn't give you a chance to tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh, no problem. The KidHeart Show on Instagram, the KidHeart Show, and Steve Starobinsky on LinkedIn. Like, if you're in the business world and you like businessy stuff, I write a lot on LinkedIn. Check me out. If you like pictures and more, I do a lot of Instagram stories. I feel like they're bite-sized. I have, I look at the world through a lens of play. If that sounds interesting, then the KidHeart Show is a good follow.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Steve. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate you. See ya.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today. I hope that you guys felt like you got as much out of that as we did. We've just really been diving into this gaming category for over a year now, and we have seen success in a lot of the retailers that we work with. So we wanted to make sure to put this in all of your minds as a category to look into, because we really believe that this is something that's going to continue over the next handful of years, even as we do start to recover from the pandemic. And there's a lot of really fun games out there. And I've got to say, if you don't follow SolidRoot yet, you should follow them. Follow Steve, follow SolidRoot. They're doing some great things, and it's a really fun, family, wholesome business. Next week, join us. We have Nicholas Vafakis on. He is part of the Ann Sales team and works with all of our brands. And I hope you all have a great rest of your week and stay warm. All right. Have a good one.